We have Adam Stern back now, and I did want to talk a little bit about the TV contract, as which obviously is now, I think, as of March 1st, is open to negotiation, not only just for Fox and NBC, but now it brings other partners in. Is that correct, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. After that window expires, they'll be able to go talk to anybody they want. So, they'll obviously be able to talk to other kind of major media networks, and then we fully expect that they're going to be doing a streaming package in some shape or form. We still have to see how it looks as part of the new deal. So they'll be talking to Amazon for sure, from what we've reported, what we've heard, and then potentially other streamers as well, like Apple, et cetera. And what'll be interesting with the streaming package is, do they do it, exclusive or non-exclusive events? So let's say they do a deal with Amazon Prime Video. Is it going to be non-exclusive so people who have Amazon Prime Video can watch it, but it'll also be on Fox or NBC? Or are they going to do even the more extreme step kind of and go exclusive to them? That would get more money from the streamers, but obviously would bring up some other complications. So, yeah, once they pass through this window, they'll have the chance to talk to anybody, and that will hopefully spark the bidding war that will result in a significant increase in the media rights.
One thing that I've read that I think you might have reported has been talked about is, NASCAR says that they want to keep the same number of races on broadcast TV, but they're intrigued with that Amazon option like the NFL did this year. So does that mean potentially they could start looking at adding races on, say, Thursday nights that aren't already on the schedule?
It remains to be seen. I'm not sure yet. I mean, we know that the weeknight races that they tried in 2020 didn't get great ratings. So it's kind of they've moved more to just trying to do as many Sunday races as possible. Even Saturday night races don't get as good of ratings traditionally, and you go a level up if you're on a Sunday to higher ratings. So that'll remain to be seen, but it's possible. We could definitely see some new types of innovation as part of this deal in 2025, and so I wouldn't rule it out. And we'll just have to see.
I know that they've talked about the fact that we could see significant change in the schedule in 2024, maybe the most significant change we've ever seen. What are you hearing about that and how that might affect the TV contract down the road?
I mean, the way it affects the TV contract is just through, trying to impress the TV companies that NASCAR is not, sitting on their hands, that they're going into major markets, that they're racing in city centers more often, not always just racing in far-flung locales, things like that. As far as what I'm hearing about it, I mean, it's still a little early to see exactly what happens, but, I think one thing we'll have to, of course, see is what happens in Southern California. What do they do with that? With the Clash, clearly Fontana is out next year, so I think that'll be obviously very interesting to see. They are talking to New York City. I'm hearing that's probably more for 2025 though. So if they're going to do something really interesting next year, maybe it'll be an international race. Maybe it could be something in Mexico or something in Canada. I think that's something to keep an eye on. Do they do that next year? And then, they're talking to some different markets as well. In the Pacific Northwest, for example, they're talking to Denver, they're talking to Seattle, they're talking to some cities kind of in the mid-Atlantic area, I believe. So, they've got a lot of people who are reaching out who have been interested about what they're doing in Chicago and what they've done in Los Angeles with the Clash, but they've got to see how Chicago goes before they commit to doing another street race. They're spending $50 million on that, and they are sure as heck not going to commit to another 50 million until they at least see how the first 50 million worth of investment goes. It's probably the biggest investment they've ever made in a single race. Granted, it's a little bit of a apples to oranges comparison because a lot of their other investments were to permanent facilities, so you wouldn't compare it to one race. But nonetheless, they're essentially spending $50 million for a temporary street circuit here. It should get cheaper next year because some of the stuff that they'll buy this year that they'll have for next year. So maybe next year won't be 50 million, but this year is. And so we'll have to see how that goes before they commit to doing, another street race in another city. But they're certainly talking to a lot of people in the meantime, and they're also again talking to people internationally. So they've got a lot of irons in the fire right now. They're looking at doing a developmental series, which would be a fifth one for NASCAR in the Middle East. They're starting one this year in Brazil, which is their fourth one. So they've got a lot of irons in the fire.
Before we let you go, Adam, one last question. I mean, I think back to when NASCAR signed this 10-year TV deal in 2015. I thought back to 2005, 10 years before that, and how much the media landscape changed between 2005 and 2015. Even just, how like print media almost became non-existent in that 10-year window, and streaming came and became such a big deal. Do you see NASCAR signing another 10-year deal, or will they go with something shorter because you can't anticipate how much the media landscape is going to change in the next 10 years?
That's a great question. I believe they're going to go at least 5 years, and that they might go as much as 10, and that it's possible they could also end up somewhere in the middle there, like a 7 or an 8. They definitely want to go for at least 5, and the reason they went for 10 last time is the same reason they'd go for 10 this time, is just to guarantee as much money as possible from these broadcasters and lock it in. I mean, there's nothing that you can do as a broadcaster unless you want to declare bankruptcy to get out of paying it. Once you say you're going to do a 10-year deal, you got to pay all 10 years. So I could see NASCAR going for it as the same length this time. But you're exactly right. There are reasons to go a little bit shorter. You look at what ESPN just did with F1. They signed a 3-year extension, and the ESPN executive said that he was asked about that. Why did you not go longer? And he said he felt 3 years felt right. Because in 3 years or 2.5 years, whenever they reassess the deal, it'll give them time to, see what's going on in this really rapidly changing media landscape. So it is a good point. I still think NASCAR is probably going to go in like the 7-ish year range, but that's why they're going to try and get a digital streaming component, a third. That's what will be new with this package, right? Previously, it's been split between two, major linear partners. Now they're going to have a third package. And that's preparing for the future. That's saying, hey, for the rest of the 2020s, the majority of this is going to be on linear TV. But as we get ready for the 2030s, we're going to kind of get ready with one of these streaming partners like an Amazon, and that'll get us ready for the future. So certainly something to keep an eye on. And again, do the races go exclusive, non-exclusive to start? How's the viewership? The NFL really helped get NASCAR ready for this because they signed up with Amazon this year and got really strong viewership, stronger than people were expecting. The package that they put on that was previously on linear TV got like 13 million viewers for the NFL, and then Amazon put it on their streaming package. They got like 11 to 12, so it wasn't a big drop off at all. Still a very strong number. So that it has emboldened NASCAR, and now they're going to do a streaming package as part of this, and that'll help set up the sport for the future.
Adam, I know you got to scoot. Appreciate your time and your insight, and look forward to having you on again in the near future.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it. When we come back, we'll talk to Doug Rice and Jeff Hammond about some of their thoughts on where the media package is heading. Also, get a look ahead to Las Vegas this week. Stay with us.